All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper Pre-Party Show. If you are listening to this, you are the resistance. I am very excited to have my friend and returning guest, Digital Prepper, with me tonight. How you doing today, Digital?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Pretty good. All right, it's always good to have you back on the channel.
Yep, always good to be here.
Thank you. Just before we'll give people a chance to get those notifications out, and I'll go through a couple quick things here for housekeeping. As always, if you're watching this on replay, I do recommend that you turn on the not the top chat, the live chat review replay. If you watch it within a couple hours after the stream ends, sometimes YouTube doesn't have it loaded. I have no control over that. They do something. I'm guessing they're checking to see if there's anything inappropriate in the chat. But if you're watching it by tomorrow afternoon, it should be available. And we usually stream on Friday nights. I like to have guests on here. Digital's been on here several times. I know Sassy Gal Prepping in the chat has been here. We've had all kinds of good guests along the way. We've talked about all things preparedness, not just AI. Although if you've been watching my channel this week, you think that that's all I talk about because I've been on a little bit of an AI kick. I'd love to have you on. If you like what you see here tonight, please consider giving a thumbs up. And as always, I ask that people please be kind to my guest and to the moderators in chat, and actually everybody in chat. You're more than welcome to throw some shade at me, disagree with me, make some comments, whatever. But please be kind to my guest and to everybody else in chat. My mods have full permission to put people in timeout, boot somebody out, whatever we need to do. We usually don't have any problems, but we like to throw that out there just in case. All right. All right, let's say hi to chat real quick, and then we'll get to see what's going on, what's been going on with digital lately. So I see we've had Sassy Gal Preppin, welcome. Thank you so much. Broken Neck, good to see you again. Chrome Dome Omega, good to see you, my friend. Ting Ting, awesome to see you. How you been? And Maccabees, good to see you. I've got a good couple people in there, and if anybody's lurking, don't be shy. Go ahead and say hi to us. Digital, what have you been up to, man?
Been doing good. Been just continuing to like do things, follow the news. I've just been kind of chilling lately. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard when you look at the news all the time and it's all doom and gloom. So been trying to get outside, touch the grass.
Yeah, that's smart. And honestly, if you're a prepper channel, like there's so much content right now that you could be covering. Like I haven't even touched on the whole banking financial disaster. I could have done streaming on that, but there's plenty of channels covering that kind of stuff. So definitely, if you're watching this, make your way around. You got anything new coming out this week?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on another video regarding air gapped technology. It's pretty cool. So like if you looked at my videos regarding like the IO safe NAS devices, take a look out for that.
Sounds good. And for those of you who regularly watch my content, this coming week, I'm probably not going live next Friday. I've got a speaking engagement. I've got a lot of big things coming up right now, so I'm gonna probably just take that night off. I will release something, whether it be a short or a long form video, but I'm probably not streaming next week. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. I've got a big unboxing coming for kind of a prepper pantry unboxing thing. I don't want to say too much about it just yet, but that's the one I'm going to try to get done this weekend. All right. So Wendy, thank you for joining us. Zompok Mom, good to see you. A friend of mine from Instagram. All right, let's go ahead and get right to today's topic. So Digital, you and I have been playing around with this ChatGPT thing lately, right?
Yep. Definitely been playing around with it.
What's your impressions of it so far?
It's good. It's a really good piece of technology, in my opinion. It doesn't necessarily have like the most up to date information. So some of the stuff you kind of do have to kind of fact check if you ask it like any questions. But overall, I would say it's a scarily good piece of technology so far.
Yeah, I agree. I've been playing around with it quite a bit, and I'm not going to lie, I like it. It's definitely a time saver for a lot of things, but I'm also frightened of where the future potentially takes us with all this stuff. I did just to play around with it. So I do a lot of public speaking on mental health issues, and I put together my own presentations. And I was like, well, just for giggles, let me see what this thing can do. So I asked it to give me slides that I could plug into a PowerPoint for how trauma works in the brain, and it instantly, like within seconds, gave me like 10 slides. Now that would have taken me, that piece alone probably would have taken me 20 minutes just like shooting off the top of my head without like pulling research and stuff.
Yep.
So then I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So then I said, okay, now I want you to say on slide number 4, I want you to give me some research that backs up this point that you're saying and cite your sources. 3 seconds later, it's got it. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, how about now I want you to give me some examples of ways that the amygdala could be changed because of trauma. Does it? All right, now give me cite your sources for that. Gives it to me. All right, now give me a group activity for discussion. Gives me a suggested group activity. I don't like that one. Give me another one. Gives me another one. I'm like, all right, this looks really good. And it's like within 30 minutes, I had what would have taken me 2 weeks worth of work to do.
Jeez, that's good.
It's good, but it's
on paper.
But it's yeah, it's a little frightening too. And the way that the sentence structure is written, it sounds like it's written by a human,
right?
Which I would say up until a couple years ago, you could still tell the difference between human writing and AI writing, and now you can't.
Yep. And what's crazy is that like people have been coming out with like what do they call extensions or add-ons for like Chrome and Firefox. I was playing around with one that essentially is it's a extension for Chrome that essentially makes it so that if you're on LinkedIn, you can just like look at a post that someone's post on LinkedIn, and it'll generate like a specific type of comment that you want it to like a friendly comment, or if you want to ask a question or whatever, and you can just click a button and it'll generate a comment and throw it right there in the in the comment field for you to hit enter to leave a comment. You don't even have to type.
Yeah, and you were telling me off screen that people are using this to respond to phone calls and things like that. And South Park actually did an episode, I don't know if you've seen it yet, about ChatGPT. And in the episode, the boys were all using it to respond to their girlfriend's texts.
I'm not surprised, but I have not seen that.
So yeah, definitely if you're all are South Park fans, definitely check that out. So like they're playing video games and the phone's going bzz, bzz, and they're like and they go back to the video game and the ChatGPT is generating a response to the girlfriend. Scary. So this of course begs the question of if these things are doing these tasks this well, what does this mean for certain jobs? And that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. Yep. So a few more people pop in chat here. Let me just say hi to a couple people. Let's scroll back here a little bit. Wendy, good to see you. Appreciate you. My mother's Spark. Appreciate you. Pentucky, good to see you. Silver Scorpion, always good to see you, my friend. SHTF, Lady Prepper in Florida. Good to see you. All right. So as I was thinking about this, as somebody who does presentations, right, and the amount of work that it typically would take me to do that, my first thought was, wow, I'm replaceable, like really easily replaceable, and then I started thinking about all the different things, all the different jobs that could easily be replaced, right? So and then I decided to ask ChatGPT what jobs it thinks will get replaced.
Oh boy.
So I've got 3 lists here, folks. The first list we're going to do is 10 jobs that are likely to be replaced by AI in the near future. And then I've got 10 jobs that are unlikely to be replaced by AI in the near future. And actually, I disagree with a few of them on here. We'll have a good discussion around that. Okay. And then if we have time, we're going to talk about 10 jobs that have already been replaced by AI, or it's happening right now, right? So, and you did a little research on this too. Do you want to add anything before I kind of get into the list?
No, let's hear the list first.
All right. So this first list, we're talking about 10 jobs that are likely to be replaced by AI in the near future. And by the way, folks, if you're watching this and you want to drop a question, please go ahead and put it in caps so we can try to catch it. I'll try to jump back and forth. So 10 jobs that are likely to be replaced by AI in the near future. First one was telemarketers. Now, this has already happened, right? Like this has been going on for a while.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think I can agree with that so far. Yeah, telemarketing.
Like when you get a scam call, right? And
Yeah,
like
it's
they want to
mostly
talk
just
to you,
robots.
it's robots. Right? You know, they want to talk to you about your insurance, and sometimes they've been so like I mess with them sometimes, and I'll say, well, you know, like I'll just kind of keep them on the phone. And I got fooled by one that was talking to me about I know what it was. It said there was a problem with my Medicare. Well, I don't have Medicare. So it said there was a problem with my Medicare. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have some fun with this. So I started talking to it. And at some point it asked me, well, what's your Medicare number? Right. And so I just started entering in like random numbers, like a whole sequence of like 25 numbers, which is, you know, I think it's 10 numbers for Medicare.
Okay.
And so, you know, I kept saying, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. And then finally I got a human. And then I was able to really have some fun with him and say, you know, like he said, what's your Medicare number? And I said, 5353553. And I kept doing it until he was like, wait a minute. That's not right. But to even get to that human, I had to like play with the AI for about 10 minutes.
Right. And
you know,
even
so
and
like,
even so, you know, the I assume the yeah, I mean you got to the point where it was asking you for, you know, like numbers and such. I would assume if you would have gave it a legitimate number, it might have kept going.
It would have kept going. I think so. Yeah. So number two, and I will get back to questions and comments here in just a second, folks. Retail salespeople. This is already happening with self checkout, right? I wouldn't necessarily say self checkout is AI, but I could see where there would be more enhanced versions of this with AI, right? So typically, you know, if you're doing self checkout and you have some kind of a problem, there's a human there that comes over and would assist you. That human is probably not going to be there in a couple of years. It will probably be replaced by, you know, an AI built into the system that comes online and says it looks like you're having trouble or something, you know. And even, you know, for those people who like to go through the cashiers, I would say cashiers are probably gone in the very near future.
I mean, to be fair, this has already kind of been happening. Even if you look at what do you call them? Amazon's some of Amazon's like grocery stores that they don't even have checkout lanes. You just put everything that you want into the cart and walk out. You know, all of that is yeah, I mean, it's done by machine learning, so you know, it's kind of AI based. But yeah, no, I would agree with that.
And the thing with AI, right? So if you have, and let's say you had some kind of Dalek-looking robot that's checking you out, and its ability to surpass a human's ability to upsell, right? So if you don't know what's that much about sales, upsell is when like you're checking out on your computer and you're checking out, you're buying a computer and it says, and the retail salesperson says, would you like the warranty too, right? Or would you like the extended protection plan? That's an upsell, right? Oh, I see that you're buying this. Did you know we have a sale on Hershey bars today, right? That's an upsell. Do you want the hat that goes with that shirt? That's an upsell, right? AI will be able to far surpass what a human can do with that because it's going to remember every single transaction you ever did in that store. And so it's going to say things like, it looks like you forgot to buy eggs this week, right? Would you like somebody to look at the eggs for you, right? And that's what will happen, which may be good, but you're also going to displace a lot of workers that rely on those jobs.
Yeah.
Data entry clerks. AI can automate data entry tasks. reducing the need for human workers in this field. Yep, that's already beginning to happen as well. Data entry will no longer, in the very near future, data entry will not be a job. Not for humans, anyways.
No.
This part I really take issue with, and then after this one, I'll jump back to chat and see if we have any comments or questions. Excuse me, guys. Pollen here is still really bad. Sorry. Receptionist. When I check into a business, I like interacting with a human receptionist. Now, I'm Gen X. I don't know how Gen Z and what's the one? I guess Gen Alpha is the next one, and then Gen Beta comes after that.
Oh wow,
that's what I read. Yeah, so like they're gonna grow up with this stuff. Their attitude is gonna be totally different than a Gen Xer, and certainly different than a Boomer. So they may look at it and like, well, why would I need to talk to a human receptionist, right?
Right.
I like that. I like that human touch. When I go to my doctor's office, I enjoy saying hi to the receptionist. She remembers me. How are you doing? Did you get to go take that vacation to Florida? I enjoy that. I think it's a nice touch for offices.
Yeah.
But this probably will happen for when you check into a place. You're probably going to, in the near future, will be checking in with an AI receptionist.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be, a little case by case, just like kind of how you said, doctors' offices and stuff like that. I think they'll keep, the human receptionist, that human element of it. But, like, for example, I know you've probably seen, kind of a little off the rails, but I know you've seen like food stores or fast food places where they have the little kiosks. So, you walk in, you don't even, get like oh, hey, what do you want to order? No, you go to the kiosk, enter in what you want, and boom, it's made. So yeah, that's kind of similar to what you're what you're referring to.
And some other countries have already had that kind of thing for a while. I know there's places in Japan where they've already had that for a while. You can go into a restaurant and you're not going to interact with a human at all. And there's some places in Europe that do that as well. Just checking chat here, folks. It lied to a human to get the human to view a capture and describe it. I don't know. I haven't read that story. Do you know what that one is, Digital?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Pentucky, that's it, right? Like, so kids are already using this in university, and actually it's now trickled down to a lot of the high schools to write their papers. And like I said, because the language, the structure of the sentences is so realistic to a human, it's almost indistinguishable that so people are turning in these papers on really complex subjects, and it's fooling college professors. Good to see you, Unc. Yeah, there will be. I agree with you. There will be no McDonald's servers in the near future.
Might not even be the people making the food either.
No, there won't be. I'll bet there'll probably be like one person, one human working in the building just to like monitor how things are going, so that people aren't trashing it, and and if something breaks, they'll be there to do maintenance on it or whatever.
Yep. Because I was reading this this one thing, during the height of the pandemic, there was this restaurant in Miami, Florida, where people were leaving their jobs, all that kind of stuff, and I guess this particular restaurant got robots, that like robot servers to go serve the platters of food and stuff, and I mean they were able to cut wait staff by about like 20% because the robots themselves only cost like $2 an hour. So that I actually haven't even heard of before that I've never heard of a restaurant going that route, because I would think that they would be a little too expensive for them. But I mean, there you go. And as long as the price of the technology keeps going down, it's gonna get something.
And think about it this way, right? So if I owned a McDonald's franchise, and go back to Burpee Yoga Uncle's comment here. If I owned a McDonald's franchise, right, and let's say that I bought in, and I don't plan to retire for 20 years, right? This is part, or maybe this is even going to be part of my retirement income. And by the way, if you're listening to this, it may sound like I'm pro AI. I'm not. I have very mixed feelings about it.
Yep, same here.
But yes. So if I was to own a McDonald's franchise and I was creating my retirement income with it or something like that, and I could buy, the automated robotics to cook the burgers, serve the burgers, clean the restaurant, and so there's a big upfront cost, but then those workers never require vacation.
Yep.
They never demand raises. They're never going to call out sick when I need them. They're
not
going to
unionize.
They're not going to steal from me. They're going to basically work until they can no longer function. So, you could see why this is going to be appealing from businesses. I'm not saying it's ethically right or anything like that. I'm just saying you can see why that would be appealing to people.
Right.
All right. And then I hate those sassy gal prepping. When I call my pharmacy, I want to talk to a person. I cannot stand those. Yep, David Lynn Prepper. I am over with it. Exactly. Hey, Bacon's good to see you, brother. Yeah, and this has been already getting in that direction. This is why so many stores have a hard time staying open, the online shopping.
Yeah. Even though it is, I mean, it's so convenient though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I think that's the whole bit with it. And like you had mentioned, I'm fairly mixed on this topic. I mean, you would think, oh, the digital prepper, he would be 100% pro AI or whatever the technology is. Not necessarily. I mean, I like to look at it and see what we can do and weigh out the pros and cons before before going along with it.
Right. Matrix Transparency, good to see you. So Wendy says, if the self-checkout mess, if when they do, this will become a problem for many disabled trying to use said system. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that are gonna be hurt by it. There's going to be a lot of people having a hard time to adapting to it. Silver Ocean, it's good to see you.
And see with that, and that again is like another example of like you can't fully get rid of the human touch unless you're going to have like actual robots helping those type of people get through checkout lines.
Yeah, no, there still would be some humans in all of these scenarios, I think, but much less are needed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been in most of the airports in the United States now. You can check in and do most of your stuff without actually talking to anybody. Yep. You can do that at my local airport, somebody else said. Certain tasks can be automated. Yep. Okay, yeah, we're going to be talking about self-driving cars. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Self-driving moppers. I have not seen them yet. I'm curious. Like, if I see one, my wife's just going to have to keep shopping and leave me to like mess with it for a little while. Have you seen those digital?
No, I was actually going to ask, like, self-driving moppers,
like mopping the floor.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah, the where my dad lives, one of the grocery stores has a robot that I'm trying to tell me what I think he said it like it walks around and it asks people if they need help finding something, and then it tells them what aisle it's in. But I told him, I said, that thing's also doing security, whether or not they're telling you that. It's like monitoring stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, burpee yoga uncle, that's it's going to be hard for people to demand a living wage when they can be replaced by something that's going to work forever and never demand a raise and never call out sick. And yeah. Cold War Preppers, good to see you, Lee. Vanessa Kitties, good to see you. Yeah, spring is already here in South Carolina, my friend.
It's the winter over here.
Yeah.
It's like 20 degrees outside currently.
By anything not really human, that thing is that humans require personalities. And that, yeah, so we're going to talk about that when we get to one of the jobs later on here, Bacon, that the human factor and what will that all mean, right? Yeah, and some of these jobs are not like the most desirable jobs too. Like at some point, if they can create a machine that goes down into the sewers to clean out the sewers, I know somebody has to do that, and that's somebody's job. But how many people want to do that? It's probably not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Area food rations open Europe forever. Yep, you won't have. That's right too, Lee. You won't have to pay them health insurance. You won't have to pay them workers' comp. No Social Security. Yep, no complaints. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Angie. It's good to see you. What about the idea of these jobs going to then the implementation of a yeah, so that deserves a whole video in itself, Silver Oceans, because if we get to a place where we're displacing all these jobs, unemployment theoretically would skyrocket, right? Like you're, 50% or more at some point, right? Like if this just keeps getting developed. So, our system can't sustain 50% unemployment rate. So then the only solution that I can imagine that we would at some point go to a universal basic income, which means everybody would get a check. It's not going to be a lot of money. It would be like just enough to probably for your housing and your food, maybe for your electricity.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because like I was reading something, they were saying by 2030, AI could displace up to or even more than like 800 million jobs. That's a really large number.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Yankee Candle somebody mentioned. Now they're selling through their big box only. So yeah, I didn't mention this with the grocery stores, but it's also very very possible that you could have robots stocking shelves, and that may already be happening. I haven't seen it, but it may already be happening. So like all those, think about how many people Amazon employs, right? Just like packing boxes and shipping them out, right? That's a lot of people. And if you all of a sudden have all that replaced by automation, like that's a lot of people getting displaced by that, let alone the Amazon drivers, which most certainly is going to get replaced too.
Oh yeah, I mean, small bit of transparency. I actually do work as a more technical role in Amazon, and yeah, I mean that stuff's happening. All the like AR type centers and stuff, all the AI robots that they have on the floor. I know you guys have seen the little ones, carrying, like tons of product and such. Yeah, I mean that stuff will displace jobs.
Yeah. Where deliveries are made by. Yeah, I heard about this. Has anybody actually seen this, like in your neighborhood or anything like that, where like a drone's bringing your package?
I haven't, but I know that they're like more in like I want to say Texas and California, where some of them are kind of like testing that stuff still.
Yeah. Self-driving coppers. I'm assuming you mean police. So I don't think human police will be replaced like RoboCop kind of deal. At least not in the next 75 years or anything like that. I don't see that happening. Do I see AI assisting law enforcement? Yes, absolutely. Like you could have little drones or robotic cars patrolling areas and things like that. When they see something, it gets notified to dispatch, and then humans are sent to that situation.
Get some like Minority Report shenanigans going on.
Yeah. A lot of good comments here, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Battlestar Galactica, if anyone hasn't seen it, is one of the greatest series. The newer one is good. The old one's good too, though. But the newer one of like humans versus AI, fantastic. Bacon wants one of these robot moppers, I think. Base company called Zuix that has these god awful self-driving vehicles. Yeah, that's so. In the near future, your taxi drivers will be displaced. Your Uber and Lyft, that won't even be a thing anymore. You'll be calling for your robot driver.
Yep, they already have that getting tested. The just
it's close.
non-human drivers, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. I didn't think of that one. So we're checking electric lines, yeah, and safety issues and things like that. Absolutely. That made me think of that scene from, was it Aliens, where they sent Bishop out to repair the communications dish.
Oh,
remember
okay.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hudson says, "Good idea, man. Send Bishop."
Have you seen what is it? What is that company? Boston Dynamics?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
That is heading to a level that I'm not sure if I should be happy about it or not, but yeah, I mean it looks pretty cool though. I will say that much.
There are rumors, now I don't know if it's Boston Dynamics or another company, that the military already has those things ready to go. They just haven't used them yet, the U.S. military.
I mean, we already have drones, so it's not a huge
stretch.
And
and I'm assuming it's a human pilot, right? Like, so you might have this robotic soldier breaching, right, which would save a lot of soldiers' lives, which is great because breaching is very dangerous. Breaching is when you go into a house or a room. So imagine but it would be a human from like a mile away piloting the thing,
Right.
I don't think that even our government, with all of the risks that they're willing to take on different technology, I don't think they're ready to turn over the keys to AI for that kind of stuff just yet.
Oh no, definitely not. Like even like the the drones that they have, the flying ones. I mean, they might have like a bit of autopilot to get it where it needs to go, GPS, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a human behind it 100%.
Yeah. I remember that Vanessa Silver Oceans, that there was talk in San Francisco that they were going to use AI assisted law enforcement, and then there was a big backlash about it. That doesn't mean it's not going to come back out.
I wonder if they mean what do you call it? Like AI assisted facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that's a big thing. One saying over in China, and they're trying to get that more globalized. I really don't like that.
That's actually been that's been around for a while. I uploaded a picture of my father onto Facebook. This was a couple years ago, of him when he was 17 years old. Now my dad's 80 now. And I uploaded a picture of him when he was 17 years old, and Facebook tagged him.
Oh, really?
Like,
just automatically?
It suggested him as
wow.
And it suggested yeah. So you're talking 60 plus years, recognized his facial features and was able to say, oh, that's so and so. If I missed any questions here, yeah, and I love this idea, Chrome Dome Omega, having some kind of robotics too. I mean, that is already actually happening, but like something that could, we're talking about at some point there's going to be some trip for humans to Mars, and maybe even at some point like an underground colony or something like that. I imagine that they probably would send robotics first to try to get something set up, so that, because when humans get there, because of the travel through space, there's some muscle atrophy that goes on. And so theoretically, if we could get all the way to Mars and safely land on Mars, there's still like humans would have a very, very difficult time moving for a little while.
Right.
Yeah, Jimmy Cabs. That's right. I was trying to remember where I'd seen that. Thank you. That was the robot cab driver. Yeah. Wasn't there something like that also in what's the Bruce Willis movie, Fifth Element? Wasn't there
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah, I think there was.
Amazon will replace delivery service since yeah, that they've been wanting that for a while. It's coming closer than you think, as Silver Ocean says. Yep. Yeah, and Tesla. So I wanted to talk about that for a second too. Thank you, Silver Oceans. So there's a lot of backlash against Tesla's self-driving features right now. Which, by the way, it's not. You're not supposed to use it in self-driving mode. It's supposed to be like AI assisted. So the human is still supposed to be paying attention and the hands on the wheel, but I'm not going to say what it is, but there's a hack that people have figured out that they can basically do, and then they'll close their eyes and go to sleep, or they'll read a book or whatever.
Yep.
And you're not supposed. It's illegal. Don't do that.
Also,
but
it's
people are
dangerous for
getting
other
on.
people, so please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that. Please don't do that. But people are, getting on Tesla for it's getting into some crashes and things like that. Okay, yeah, I get that, and that needs to be fixed. But I would still take my chances with a bunch of Tesla drivers, Tesla AI drivers on the road versus the people that I see driving around my city doing stupid things, playing on their phone while they're driving. I can smell the unique chemicals coming from their car, 3 car lengths in front of me, if you know what I mean there. So I actually trust the Tesla AI better than I do almost every human on the road. All right, just seeing if I missed. You guys got a lot of good comments here. I'm just seeing if I missed a question. Okay, I think I'm almost caught up. If you have questions, throw them in caps. It'll just make it a little bit easier for me. All right, we're going to go back to our jobs here. Time's slipping away from me here, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster. We said receptionists, yeah, drivers. That's that we said that's coming. That's on the top 10 lists of jobs that are likely to be replaced in the near future. So we're talking about taxi drivers, delivery drivers, food service delivery drivers, package delivery drivers, bank tellers. I could see that happening. I would think like the scenario we talked about with McDonald's, there'd probably still be a human or two in the bank, but the person that's taking your transaction at the desk would probably not be a human.
Possibly, yeah, I can see that.
As long as there's a human in there to make sure that things are still being safe and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, or to handle complex issues or something. Customer service representatives. That's already happening, right? Like when you call, you're most likely going to deal with an AI first before you can get to a human.
Mm-hmm.
Fast food workers, insurance underwriters. AI. So ChatGPT picked that. I don't know enough about that. I guess that it could scan, like if you're bringing your car, it could like after a car accident, it could scan that. If you had damage to your house, they could send a drone to scan that. Am I understanding that correctly? Do you know anything more about that, Digital?
Not really. No, I'm not quite sure about insurance underwriters.
This one I was very surprised at. AI-powered accounting software will displace a lot of accountants. Probably not all, but reducing the need for human accountants. I was a little surprised by that one.
I mean, robots can kind of do math better than people, but I mean, they need the people currently in order to input, like the math problems and such. But I could see that if, the AI is just an AI.
Yep. And probably at least in the beginning for like really basic tax returns, I could see that for people like ours. We own 2 businesses, so ours are pretty complicated. Like I just can't imagine an AI being able to deal with the stuff that we're turning in on our tax forms. All right, then this is the list of 10 jobs that are unlikely to be replaced by AI in the future. Tell me what you think, if you agree with this or not,
Okay.
Digital. Teachers.
Yeah, I can agree with that because I think AI can assist with teaching, but I don't think you can like necessarily replace a teacher unless that AI is semi like sentient almost, which I don't believe we're ever going to get to that point, at least in a couple generations. But assisting, sure.
Yeah, I agree. At least at high school and under level, there's no way people are going to go for a robot teacher.
Right.
There's no way. Now at the college level, where there's, it's pretty much expected that there's no behavioral discipline issues at the college and university level. Could you have a robot professor? Absolutely. I could see that.
You think so?
I do. I mean, some of the professors that I had in my college sounded like robots.
That's a good one. And I mean, you're kind of right. Because with some of like the classes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like some of like the classes, like Udemy and things like that. I mean, that's all like video based anyway, so you could just kind of go through that. I mean, there's no real difference with throwing an AI in there.
Right. This one I agree with. What do you think? Nurses?
Yeah. I can't see that.
Not in the next 100 years at least, right?
Again, not replacing, but just assisting with.
I agree. This one I disagree with. Artists. This is already happening in a large way for artists.
That's a hard one. Only because I've seen and I've played with some of those like AI. I forgot the name of the popular one that came out like a few months ago, but I played around with that one, and it's good. I mean, it can't necessarily draw hands and feet, but it's good at everything else. And again, if you have there's been like huge issues in like the art community with people utilizing that, maybe like touching it up here and there, or doing something like with it, but then like presenting it as their own in like a project or like a competition or something like that. And it's like, wow, you can't do that. You didn't actually create this. The AI created this.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole bunch of polarization based on that.
Yeah. Well, and then so think about like thumbnail design.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, for people who watched my last two videos about AI and ChatGPT, I'm sorry, most of the images in there that I used were AI art, AI generated art.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take a look at that.
Graphic design for a lot of like logos and stuff like that, and that, so there's a whole industry there that's already like getting displaced. So instead of paying a graphic artist $300 to design your logo, people are going on one of these websites and doing it in 5 minutes themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so the next two, I'll give you my thoughts as somebody who works in this industry, and I want to see what you think. Psychologists and social workers.
I don't think I agree with that one.
Okay.
Like at
Why
all.
not?
Just because, I mean, would you want to talk to a person in terms of getting therapy for certain stuff, or do you want to, I guess, talk to a wall with a speaker on it?
So let's say that it's not a wall with a speaker on it, though, right? Let's say that it's a human looking animation. Let's say it looks just like me on your screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this AI has become so advanced that it can detect changes in your voice. It uses your camera to detect micro expressions and body language. And it's been programmed to respond to all of those things and to mimic empathy. So much so that, like, have you ever played a virtual reality game?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you play a virtual reality game for more than a couple minutes, what happens?
Somewhat, you're kind of enveloped in the VR world in a sense.
your brain gets tricked, right?
Right.
In that, like I played a piloting game, and in the piloting game, I could see my hands on the control. Okay. And I had an itch on my face. So I went to scratch my face, and my real hand moved, but the virtual hand didn't. And for a second, I was like, whoa, it like the brain
That
connection was,
disassociation, right?
yes, the brain connection was my brain was thinking the virtual hand was like my real hand, right? So if you created an AI therapist, and the person spends 30 minutes talking to them, and now they're engaging in the conversation, they're engaging in the process of looking at their own stuff, right? I could see a placebo effect happening where it's realistic enough that they're still getting the same result. Now, believe me, I am not advocating for this as a therapist. I do not want to see this happen, because I don't want to be displaced from my job.
Yep.
But there's already, I know for a fact there's already companies that are working on this.
No, I totally get that, because like there I guess that kind of would work for things like BetterHelp, for example, where it's kind of how do you word it, it's kind of remote therapy in general, and there's places online where you can get where you could generate a face that doesn't exist theoretically, and you can deep fake all that, and do all this stuff to mimic a person, but I and could that work for remote like therapy? Possibly.
Possible.
I think it's more of if you want an actual like sit down therapist, then I mean obviously that's not going to work, but
right.
because I'm kind of looking at some of the comments here, where people are saying that software can like Burpee Yoga is saying software can detect your pitch modulations and all that kind of stuff. That is true. You can program a a piece of software to fake all of these like emotions, but and I guess the ultimate question is, would you know that the person is a person or not? That's really what it boils down to.
Right. Right. And I think it raises another question too, like in terms of therapy. So I was talking to one of my colleagues about this week, right? So like, man, I even hate putting this out there in the universe, but let's say that one of these companies decides, okay, we're ready to beta test, and they say first 300,000 people, we need beta testers. First 300,000 people get this for free, and then 275,000 of those people said, hey, you know what? This actually helped. I'm doing better. That's bad news for my industry.
Right.
So good question here. So Sassy Gal prepping in My Mother's Spark. The answer to that is they can't, but they can be programmed to mimic it. And is that enough?
Right. And like you could see some of the other comments, like My Mother's Spark is talking about people that have more severe mental illnesses, and again
I can't see that being turned over to AI. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, like I think again, it's going to be one of those things that it's what do you call it? Case by case basis. But would I want to see therapy getting replaced by AI? Not really.
Yeah. I don't see that happening soon. I know companies are working on it, but I do think there's going to be a resistance to it. As far as that, what Digital was just saying, My Mother's Spark, I don't see that being them being capable of dealing with something like schizophrenia in the next 50 years. I think that's way too complex to turn over to an AI.
Mm-hmm.
But what if somebody's got a mild anxiety disorder? I could see some people trying an AI therapist and be like, yeah, why not? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, because I mean, there are plenty of applications already, just like
Yep.
you can download them from like Google Play Store or the Apple Store, where you can play around with it, and it'll pretend like it's like a therapist, or it can pretend like it's a significant other, and I mean, people get weird with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I was testing the limits with ChatGPT, asking it about Tay and how would it feel if somebody turned it off and that kind of thing. And I know that it's not really AI. I know it's not a sentient AI, but there's also like part of me like has that ethical dilemma of like, okay, Tay was saying some awful things, but Tay was taken permanently offline, right? And like, what if Tay was a sentient AI? I do have an ethical problem with that. Like, okay, we didn't like what she was saying. We didn't like what she was saying, so we said, okay, you're gone. It's interesting stuff. How far would you have to be? I don't know. I mean, obviously, the more intense the programs, the better your connection would probably have to be, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Burpee Yoga Uncle. The speed at which things are changing is nuts. I never thought we would be at this point.
Yep. Even though we still don't have flying cars.
Yeah, I want. They actually do. We just can't. We can't have them. The public can't have them.
Right.
They actually do have flying cars. They look more like a helicopter. Yeah, that's. I'm very worried about how much medication is produced overseas. That's a big problem. We never should have turned over so much manufacturing overseas. That was a big mistake. Yeah, this is a good one too. People are going to need a lot of therapy when their favorite addiction to TikTok is banned. Man, people are addicted to TikTok.
They really are.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm a content creator. You're a content creator. Like I get it. I use a lot of social media, but like people's addiction to TikTok is like really unreal. When you start, like, if you ask some of your friends that use it, I don't use TikTok. You ask some of your friends, like, how do you feel if they get like fired up, mad about it?
Yeah, I agree. You have to remember, there's a whole company, a whole team of programmers that had to sit down and design this piece of software to be addicting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends that use it, they can't put their phone down.
Hey, Keith Cronk, good to see you. Lee says, if we differentiate between diagnosis and treatment, I agree with that, Lee. I would welcome AI assistance in my world, in the world of mental health therapy. I think there's a place where AI could help those of us who do treatment providing. They could, there's like, we get calls a lot of times that, I ran out of medications. My doctor's not answering the phone, just as an example, right? And so they'll reach out to the therapist to help. That could be handed over to an AI. Things like that. I think diagnosis potentially could be not totally handed over to an AI, but it could assist in that.
Yep, and that's kind of what I didn't mean to yell at you in the chat saying this, but yeah, I meant like pointing at that comment, because that I definitely believe that AI would have a place in assisting in things like therapy or teaching or diagnosing a issue, like for doctors and such. But in terms of actually, it could possibly recommend a certain treatment, but in terms of actually being a part of the treatment, I'm not really seeing that currently.
Yeah. And another way that AI might be able to help with mental health treatment would be if a patient comes in and there's intake forms that have to be filled out. Sometimes people don't know how to read,
right?
Or they speak a different language. That happens a lot. And having an AI to be able to take that person into another room and privately assist them with that would be fantastic. I absolutely would welcome that. All right. All right. Let me jump over to. So this says one more that I wanted to hit on here. It says politicians could not be replaced by AI. That's too bad. I think I'd trust AI more than most politicians personally.
I know, right?
I don't speak for digital. This says lawyers, but I think there's a lot of legal work that could be turned over to AI.
I actually don't know if you've heard of that. Somebody actually made an app, like with the assistance of AI, and it was a lawyer that created this, and they wanted to use it to have like AI assisted, uh, like defending for for your lawyer, for example, and yeah, I forget who it was, but I wonder if it was like the judge or if it were like other lawyers or somebody came out and they were going to you know sue this guy for actually creating this and using it. They told him you can't use this or we're pretty much gonna like sue you because it had something to do with because lawyers have to pass the bar, they have to go through all this training and such, and I guess they didn't like the fact that the AI didn't have to do any of this.
Would you, if you were in some kind of legal trouble, would you use an AI lawyer in the courtroom?
I mean, it depends. Because technically it could read, and understand, a lot of like the law instantly, and it could pull up a lot of that information relevant to your case, all that kind of stuff, and it could possibly win courtroom fights for you, but yeah, I mean that's kind of what I
I
have.
can
Like,
see it.
I could definitely see it for like for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And Sarge is right in the comment that I put there.
Yep.
ChatGPT is now actually passing the bar at a higher rate than humans.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And even like Sassy says, I might have an AI on my team for referencing cases and stuff and such. Exactly, because again, that thing can read millions of court cases and such instantly, whereas a normal human lawyer, they would have to go do their research, maybe do like a few weeks worth of research and such.
Yeah. Lee, I love that comment. That's great. So speaking of AIs, you could help me out with the YouTube AI for the algorithm if you all give me a thumbs up. And I appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. By the way, if you somehow, I think just about everybody here knows You Digital. If for some reason you're watching this and you have not been to Digital Prepper's channel, please do so. In fact, I'm going to drop another link to that right now in the chat, and I know it's in the description as well. So if you're watching this on replay, you can find it there. But Digital has great content. Always warns us about like the latest virus and malware and exploits to be aware of on our devices, and knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. So please check out his channel.
Appreciate it, Sarge.
No problem. All right, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth here now. So what other discussion points did you want to bring up? What other thoughts do you have?
I mean, I think the like the overall like kind of theme in terms of going back to AI displacing jobs, it's gonna happen. Like, period. It's not something that we can kind of avoid. But in terms of and I understand that change is it's a constant, and change is something that some people don't like, some people do like, but if you can, and this is more kind of a little bit more kind of pointed toward the kind of semi younger audience, is that if you can learn how to like do things like coding, or like how to build these programs and such, because that's kind of where the job market is going toward. If you can be able to what do you call it, maintain and manage the machines that are replacing these jobs, then I mean theoretically you could still keep a job, right? At least the ones that the AI are displacing, obviously.
Yeah. And also, I don't know what schools offer this, but there's got to be some kind of courses out there for basically machine repair. Um, there's gonna be need for that stuff too, because these things are gonna break down. They're gonna need technicians to be able to go in there and repair them. Um, there's definitely going to be some new jobs, and there's going to be jobs that are in high demand. Yes, and the answer to that question there, Indivisible Man, is yes. Some AI can write some code. So
Yep.
so like simple coding is probably there's probably not going to be a lot of human jobs for that in the future. More
And like,
complex coding, yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Because like you can ask, can't AI write programs, and they definitely can.
Yeah.
But like I've kind of had mentioned, even even if you think about, uh, like let's say like an architect, right? Can an AI build a structurally sound house? Yeah, of course. But unless you tell the AI that this house is going to be, let's say, in a like kind of swampy area, it might not know that, and it might give you,
Mhm.
a bad reading, right? So you have to be able to fact check the AI. Like, we're not just going to give the AI the reins to kind of do that, because it doesn't know a lot of stuff unless we tell it.
Yep. It's kind of what Ban Talk is saying there too. Good to see you, Ban Talk. It's based on what we give it, right? Like how we train it, at least for now, until it gets to the point where it's deciding what it wants to decide. So you think that we're still several generations from that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because that at that point we're at that point where you have AI like what do you call it, like iRobot or Terminator, that kind of stuff. Um, I'm not seeing that, at least for, I mean, not even a few generations. Like I'd say it'd be a long while before that type of stuff comes to fruition. But I could be wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
technology technology is evolving so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely could be wrong. It could already be a thing hidden by the government. Who knows?
Well, I'm sure that there's programs out there that blow ChatGPT away. I'm sure
Right.
of that. We're not going to get to play with those. Um, but thinking about all this stuff that we're talking about, and there could come a day where you could be talking to a machine and you don't realize that you're no, I'm not just talking about on the phone. Like, you could go in to check into your doctor and you're talking to a machine, and you don't realize that you're talking to a machine, because you look at like Sophia the
Hmm.
robot,
Hmm.
and not that she's like incredibly realistic looking, but give that another 20 years, right?
Yep.
With the facial expressions and everything else, that I could see situations where people are interacting face to face with, and I guess that'd be called an android, and not realize that that's going on.
Yep. Not wrong.
Yeah, that's really scary to me. You know.
Because even like I think I had mentioned this to you before we went live. Samsung, they're actually preparing to come out with a chat based piece of software for Samsung phones that will be able to you'll probably like talk to the device, and it'll read your voice, probably like say like a few phrases or something, and it'll use AI to generate a voice for you to be able to
Mm-hmm.
answer, like, for example, potential spam calls, so that you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
answer them. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty neat to think about. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it gets to me just because of certain things like digital privacy and such. Then you have to
Yeah.
think about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of digital privacy, I mean, this is slightly off topic, but do you want to talk a little bit about the BetterHelp thing?
Yeah, sure. I because it was weird. That was weird to me. That's why I had made that short about it. Where BetterHelp is they were being not sued, but they the FTC has actually fined them, like it was a pretty substantial amount of money, because they actually had sold their their like their advertising stuff, not advertising stuff, but yeah, they sold user
Data.
information to advertisers.
Yeah. And that's a no-no in my field. Now, I want to say that I actually have friends and colleagues who do some work for BetterHelp, and I also have friends who have used it. And both the people who are working for BetterHelp and the people who have used it have told me nothing but good experiences from it. Like they've all said, like, hey, this was really helpful. It's a good program. I really like it. But yeah, sharing data is a big no-no in my world. Mental health, privacy information, mental health, protected health information is protected at a federal level.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not just a suggestion. It's a federal law. It's called HIPAA, and so, for example, just as an example, if Digital was one of my patients, he's not, but if he was one of my patients, and me even just saying that would be like on the stream would be a violation of his privacy rights. Me acknowledging that he was my patient without his permission would be a violation of his privacy rights, and I would be in violation of a federal law. It's a big deal.
Right, and they used stuff like they used their email addresses. They sold their information to like Facebook and 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 Snapchat after advertising that they were going to keep that data private. So yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy. They shared health data and other like sensitive information about like what their mental health challenges were. So I don't feel bad for them having to pay up $7.8 million. I think that probably should have been more, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and maybe it should have been more based on the amount of money that they've made and that kind of thing. I think it's a substantial amount to teach a lesson to other companies out there. Like, no, this is serious. Just because you're doing this on telehealth now doesn't change the rules of the game.
Yep.
I thought Band Talk's comment there is very, very interesting. People who are writing code that does their work for them and their bosses are not aware of it.
I mean, work smarter, not harder, right?
It's impressive. It's impressive. So then with the deepfake technology, let's end with this, right? So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Thank you everybody in the chat for the great questions and comments. Thank you for hanging in there. It's been a little bit long, but we were talking about deepfake before we went live. So now, in theory, right, with how far deepfake technology has gone, I could like, let's say that I'm responsible to be at a Zoom meeting with 20 of my colleagues. I could pay subcontract to somebody for minimum wage to impersonate me with deepfake technology, including my voice, and sit in on the meeting, and I could go be playing golf.
Oh, that's hilarious. Because I mean,
people are going to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. There's already been people trying to do things like that. Because of kind of like the movement to remote work and all the virtual what do you call them interviews, where you have people faking interviews. Like they're over here like talking or answering questions for other people, but it's not you. It's somebody else.
Wow. So now I'm thinking, okay, now I would never do this. So this is just hypothetically speaking. Let's say that me being a therapist with 25 years of experience, I'm considered pretty experienced in my field. If somebody new was trying to get a job and it's for like a virtual thing, they could say, Tom, we're going to deep fake my face on there. I want you to go take the interview for me. And I could charge some money for that, right?
I mean, legally,
In theory.
probably. Ethically,
Technically, no. Technically, no. That's a no-no. Yeah. This is all very interesting, though. There's the deepfake, and for those of you who are watching chat, if you didn't know, they can deepfake your voice too.
right.
With if there's enough of your recordings of your voice to work with, then they can deepfake your voice. They've already been able to deepfake your image for a while now. That's been around for a couple of years, and it's just getting more and more clear. So if you've watched like Disney's Mandalorian, and then so they showed Luke Skywalker in that. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. It's been out for a couple of years. Then in the Book of Boba Fett, they did a whole episode with Luke Skywalker, and it was all deep faked. I mean, he did some of the voice work and some of the movement and things like that, but it's mostly deep fake, and it's very, very convincing. It looks really good. So you haven't seen that yet, the Book of Boba Fett?
No, I've seen that with Luke Skywalker. How they put him in there
for a full episode.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like a quick couple minutes. It was a full episode.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about before we went live. We were talking about like this is going to probably be used in a lot of nefarious ways too. Certainly to create chaos and confusion during elections. You know, all it takes is some rogue person to create a deep fake of, you know, some candidate doing something awful, put that out on Twitter and TikTok, and it doesn't matter if the mainstream media is trying to debunk it. Once it's out there, the damage is done. Like most people are not going to fact check. Yeah. And we talked about the possibility that like it could also be used for disruption to foreign states, right? So let's say the United States had a particular enemy and they wanted to turn the people of that country against the enemy. All they would have to do is create a deep fake with that person kicking puppies or something, you know, and you're going to have people in that country flipping out, you know?
Yep.
Crazy stuff, crazy times. Yeah, and that's a good question. How do we know it hasn't already happened? So to some extent it has. Like there's been deep fakes of Biden floating around on Twitter. And I saw one, I was telling Digital that I saw one of AOC that looked pretty darn convincing, and it sounds like her, and it even sounded like things that she would say. And then at the very end of the video, it said, this video is entirely deep fake. This is not AOC, and she didn't say these things. So yeah, it is already happening. Anything else you want to add to that, Digital?
No, I think it's already scary enough already.
Yeah. And people, and you know, we just did a couple minutes. We came up with some of those nefarious scenarios. Imagine like that's your job, is to come up with how do we use this as a weapon.
Right. But like overall, I do kind of want to say, even with, you know, all of the like negatives that, you know, we're kind of throwing out for AI, it to be fair, the benefits of it, if used in a positive direction, would definitely, I mean, in my opinion, I could be wrong again, outweigh the cons of it.
I mostly agree with that. I will tell you, I'm really enjoying using ChatGPT just as one example. The AI art generator, I did enjoy using that, although I also like felt bad about it, that like I know that the artist community is really upset about AI art.
Yep.
So I hope that most of this stuff is used for good. I hope that. I know some of it will not be, and
Yeah,
you know,
obviously,
all technology is used for good and bad. But if you're watching this and you're curious about ChatGPT, give it a try. You know, you are going to have to give a phone number and an email address, just to be, you know, give you fair warning about that. I know people are very sensitive about their privacy. Totally understand that. But if you're not too worried about that, give it a try and just like to think of some of the things that you do, like, okay, I need a recipe for blueberry pie, or I need a grocery list for a party that I'm throwing for my niece, or, you know, whatever. Like play around with it a little bit. Think of some of your work tasks, play around with it. I think you're going to be impressed. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to continue to use it. But am I also a little bit worried about all this stuff? Yes, both is true.
Yep, definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we're going to wind this one down. And I want to say once again, thank you to everybody in chat. Great comments tonight, great questions, and thank you to our mods as always. Any final thoughts, Digital?
Nope. I'm glad to have been on for this. It's a pretty neat discussion, and I appreciate everybody else, everybody in the chat, hanging out with us.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. I know I kind of hit you with this at the last minute, and you stepped up to the plate. So thank you.
Of course.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. I hope you're getting some good weather. We're getting rain here, but that's okay because sometimes rain is a good excuse to just slow down, think about, taking some time for your own self-care. And I think that's my message for today. Sometimes, with all this stuff, it's good to unplug, read a book, read a comic book, draw, play with your pets, play with your kids, do all those fun things. Sometimes we just got to slow it down a little bit and focus on the stuff outside of our phone and our laptop. That being said, everybody have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much again. And keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Digital Prepper and Prepping with Sarge.
Take care, guys.
Take care.